I'm not saying that 100% I am always a positive person.
You know, we focus on the butterfly, but we forget about the caterpillar. The caterpillar gave up everything that it was to become everything that it would be. It creates its own darkness and it emerges with wings. That's how life is.
What's going on, tribe? It's your girl Massy, and welcome to this exclusive series, Master Your Mind and the Body Will Follow. Today we're talking about a tool that is accessible to every single one of us, but it's going to have a huge impact in your brain chemistry. Positive thinking. Whether you want to believe in this or not, today we're going to break down what this one tool accessible to you can do for you. We're still here with Delena Zimmerman, and what a great way to break self-love, going into positive thinking, because I think this is one of the tools that can really impact us, and it is very accessible on a daily basis, and we can access that at any moment.
Yes, we can. We're carrying it around with us all day in every way. You know, in our last conversation, we talked about self-love. And so if I'm beginning to change how I feel about myself, then what's going to go along with that is my thinking. My thinking has to also change. But I want to first say that, you know, positive thinking is not hopeful thinking. Positive thinking is an actual scientific tool that impacts the way that the brain begins to behave over time. It begins to behave differently. It will expect positive thoughts. It will become your natural way of being. But let's first look at what's gotten in the way of positive thinking. Things happen in life. People believe that life is happening to them. When people pass away, I hear them say, you know, this person was taken from me. It's very internalized and things are taken personal. You know, there's loss, right? And then there's breakups. There's ending of jobs and relationships, and people are sure that life is hard. There's suffering is required. And that sometimes it's just too much. They need to take the edge off. And so shifting that mindset is super important. If a creative being, whatever you decide to call it, I'll call it God for this topic of conversation. If you came to the planet, you got here, you spent the first 5 years, you don't even remember who you were for the first 5 years. You couldn't feed yourself. None of these things were possible, but somehow, some way, you're here and sustainable. There's something greater than you that you belong to. And so that something is existing in the world. That something is sustaining you like oxygen. Come on, think about it. I don't give myself oxygen, but oxygen sustains me. It upholds every part of it keeps my body functioning. I never think about being oxygenated. It doesn't mean that I am not. So life is happening for me just by giving me oxygen. I need to see that it is lawful in that way. We didn't come here to feel pleasure all the time, to be happy all the time. We're going to go through life. Life is going to bring the many things that life brings. And so changing the mindset that life is not happening to me, life is happening for me. That this obstacle that I am climbing is strengthening my quads. This obstacle that I am climbing, right, is strengthening my heart. This obstacle that I have to go through is strengthening my biceps. It's for me. Again, if I had to pick the obstacles in my life, I'd pick none of them. I would absolutely pick nothing. And then I would not be strong. I would not be resilient. I would not have grit. You talked about running and telling yourself you can do this. Well, you begin to believe it. And it was in your belief that your life changed. Again, not being able to outperform your belief system. So I want to think a positive thought so it will release the related hormone. And then my body will begin to expect to feel good. The prefrontal cortex, where logic and language exist. If I speak language the rest of my body, the cells in my body, hears it. And then I begin to release the related hormone in the midbrain, the serotonin or the dopamine or the oxytocin, which my body will begin to crave. And it'll put me on a pathway to more positive. I want to feel good. I want to feel better. I begin to see that this thing that occurred in my life, what lesson is it there to teach me? What is it I'm supposed to know? What is this heart attack teaching me? What is this heartbreak teaching me? What is this sprained ankle teaching me? What is this suspension teaching me? What is this layoff teaching me? What am I supposed to get out of this? That's life happening for me. I may not like the way it feels. It doesn't matter. Feelings, what do you say? Just pass by.
There's visitors.
They just
They
visit us.
come and go.
And so we have to let them come and go.
Yeah. To find, I'm not saying that 100% I am always a positive person.
Who is?
I sometimes have times in which I really have to shift into knowing, wait a second, I'm becoming this negative person, or I have this negative perception. And because I've practiced positive thinking for so long, I come back to it. It's like, hey, you're going to get off your routine with exercise, but you'll get back to it, right?
It's like muscle memory.
It's muscle memory, you know? And the more you practice it, the more it becomes part of you. It's expecting. I know because it's tangible. I know once I start doing X, Y, and Z, for example, I've been so regimented in a good way with movement and eating healthy that even the relationship with food that I have, it's positive because I know what it has done to my brain, to my body. So there is a healthy expectation of, if I do these things, this is going to happen, which takes time and practice and consistency, which probably is something that we are going to talk about, how practicing positive thinking has to be a consistent behavior that you're putting yourself through, right?
Yeah, well, other thinking, I'll say other than positive thinking, feels a particular way. And sometimes it's a feeling that we know. It's like I'm used to complaining. I'm used to being offended. You know, many people are offended all the time. Everything is, and you know, you did it wrong. I can't believe what's this. Can you believe they posted that or they had that comment or what have you? So people are always offended. And so they release the related hormones in the body associated with that. And then that becomes the norm. But, you know, like when you start practicing, you get a palate for certain healthy emotion. And then when you feel the fear of the negative emotion, it gets your attention to the point you were making. I don't like the way this feels now because I've been practicing the self-love. I've been practicing, you know, I'm a 10. And now all of a sudden I'm sitting over here, negative Nancy, and it's uncomfortable. Now that's uncomfortable. And so it takes us back to the practice that we started in the first place. Whatever you believe is true is how you started this segment. I can, then you can. The universe will bring you what you need so you can. I can't, well, the universe will bring you with what you can't. Like you're always right. The universe always says yes to you, but you decide what it says yes to.
I wonder how many people just scroll up and down looking, and I'm going to take on the route of exercise or nutrition, right? Oh, yeah, I can't do that. I will never get to do that.
They're right.
They're right. I tell my daughter all the time, hey, not with that attitude. Of course you can't do this. Not with that attitude, right? And then, of course, mother me is going to teach her the way, and then she gets this positive impact. Oh, I did it. So to see my daughter go from I can, and this and that, she's not a very confident child, or wasn't a very confident child. But seeing her exercise wins has had a really positive impact, to the point where it went from I can't to I will. So I think this is important because as we are continuing to move and use our bodies, you have to believe that you will accomplish anything. For example, when it comes to movement, that you will get to that point of reaching further and eating healthier. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look perfect. And I don't think it will look perfect. Repetition, it's going to translate into everything better movement patterns. You may start walking, then you start jogging, then you start running, but it has to be a consistent approach. So I say all of that to say, any one of you who is choosing a healthy coping mechanism like exercise needs to believe that maybe you're not where that person is, but we're going to start somewhere because, like we said on the first episode, exercise is 1.5 times more effective than medication, and it's accessible. And not even exercise, physical activity.
Yes.
And that is extremely important that I keep pushing this message because we said we're going to master the mind so the body can follow. And this is medicine. So let's say if I am a negative person, I'm having all these negative thoughts that honestly, start telling yourself all the negative things and your body will feel it. Let's say we are experiencing these emotions constantly, and it's something that now lives within us. And I always say that you start looking at life through the lens of how you think.
For sure.
If you're a negative person, you will focus on everything that is negative.
Yeah.
It'll show. Life will, you will look at it through that lens. How can we shift that?
Well, we have to first accept that there's going to be darkness in life. We have to. That there will be dark nights of the soul. If the weather's gray too many days in a row, there may be darkness in your thinking. And so just knowing that that's a thing is important. But don't be afraid of darkness. Don't even be afraid of where you are in your negativity. It's fine. It's a starting place. If you think about a seed, it's planted into darkness. But that's where the seed is going to take root. That's where it's going to become the thing in the darkness. It's going to grow down. Darkness, don't be afraid of it. It's for you. Yeah, you go down, you get your roots in darkness. And then the way the seed of life, is that it grows down and it grows up at the same time toward the light. We can align ourselves with nature. The darkness has served you. You will know the light in the most miraculous way because you have known the darkness. The first thing to do is just accept that darkness occurs, has occurred, may occur again. But you can change your thinking. You can't change anyone else's thinking, but you can change your own thinking. You can begin to start with the self-love practice. You begin to start with saying that life is happening for me, not to me. You can begin not to take things personally and recognize that everyone has grown up in their mother's home and they're having their experience too. That no one naturally wants to hurt your feelings, that your feelings may be hurt because of how you perceived. So remember, we think it, and then we feel it, and then we behave it. So if I change that thought, right, that I'm enough, I'm a 10, I belong here, I was born for this time in human history, that I can break through this barrier. You're right, you can. You'll feel it, and then your action steps will match it.
And I think you start also thinking critically, because even when you don't have the resources, you start finding the resources. You know how many people think or how many people say, oh, I'm never going to get there because I don't have what it takes. You start very small.
Absolutely.
That's literally how I started, within myself, with the one little thing that I had access to. And you start building and building and building and building. And earlier, I said to you that when you look at nature, all great things takes time to build. A
Yes.
plant, a child, even to walk, everything takes time. So allowing patience, allowing yourself to know, okay, little by little,
Yeah.
one step at a time. I always say that.
You know, we focus on the butterfly, but we forget about the caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
The caterpillar gave up everything that it was to become everything that it would be. It creates its own darkness and it emerges with wings. That's how life is. And once we shift, we have to take accountability for this power we possess. Earlier in this segment, you said, the power's in you. You've been walking around with the ability to change your thinking the whole time. You just didn't know that you could. It's in you, just like your breath is in you. So we have to take accountability for this new information. We have to practice it. We can't let it just sit by the bedside. We need to pick these tools up because we know it's going to make a difference in our lives. No longer can we just complain that it's not working. Something's wrong with this relationship. Something's wrong with this. No, let me shift what's in me. Let me shift what's in me so that I can see things differently. And the world never has to change. The only person that has to change in your life is you. And then the world changes because it changes the way in which you see it.
I remember in the beginning of my journey that whether this applies or not, maybe you can point me in the right direction. I remember having to do an exercise of all the things, and there were different categories, but let's say listing all the negative things that I thought that I had and where I want to be on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually go back to that list and see every single one being crossed. And I'm not saying it was crossed within months or weeks. It took time. But each vertical, as I was gaining one characteristic that was positive, I was unlocking the next one. And then the next one unlocked another part, and just little tiny parts.
I just recently learned that practicing optimism, which is a positive thinking modality, believing that things are coming together, believe that things are going to work out, looking for the good in things. I just recently saw the research shows that it prevents disease. Just like negative thinking, worry, anxiety, fear hardens the arteries, releases all of the cortisol, adrenaline, and epinephrine in the system, in the body. The body can't handle that over the years. And so positive thinking literally reduces the fight or flight hormone syndrome that many people are losing their livers over, their kidneys over, that are developing cancers in their bodies as a result of it. So we're not just talking about an airy-fairy ethereal concept where it's concrete, that if you can imagine a future in which you win, as opposed to imagine in a future that doesn't work for you, you can literally change the structures in your body. Your internal organs will thank you. You live longer. Like what we're talking about, the research shows. And, it's vital to love all of your life. The stuff that makes you cry. It's what gives dimension and fortitude. It's how you're able to be resilient, to go to the next levels, to be more purposeful, to meet the goals that you have in the first place. I can't do a pull-up unless I maybe do a push-up. I have to build aspects of me. There's scaffolding in this process in order for me to live the life that I was intended by coming to the planet in the first place. So lean into the light in you. Recognize it in others. Love all of your life.
And with that intention of positive thinking, the concept of manifestation, I think it's not only you believing that it's going to happen, because manifestation is a term that has been gaining a lot of popularity.
Yes.
You take that intention, you take that thought, and you put it into action. And you have to be held accountable for those actions. So do you really want it? Do you really want to make that change? Do you really want to be happy? Do you really want to be less anxious? And I think you have to be really, really present in wanting those things.
Yes.
Because I always say, people that want to seek the light will seek it. When you are provided with these tools that are accessible to you, everything that you're saying, every single video is provided me, and I hope everyone else, with tools. Now you have to hold yourself accountable for it, because if you don't do anything, magically things will not happen.
Right.
You won't shift mentally. You have to take action.
Right. And the action is holding the vision, seeing yourself, being already grateful for the shifts in your life before they manifest, holding the space, having the holder for this thing to transform you, transform what the environment looks like. Manifestation is not magic, by the way. It is believing it, feeling it in your body, already being grateful for it, and believing, knowing that it has the power to show up. That's holding the space for it. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to particularize. It just has to. Cause and effect. There's a law. And this is lawful as oxygen. You can't see it. Oh, but you know it's there. Yeah.
What exercises can we do in order to promote this positive thinking? What's accessible to us?
I'm going to say now freely and openly, every concept that we've talked about has led us to go within, right? To acknowledge that there's a soul, there's a spirit aspect of ourselves. And so meditation is super important. Sitting, even if your mind does all the stuff that people's minds do in meditation, it should not deter you from starting. Just, it's like muscles becoming flexible with more stretching and more mobility, right? The mind also becomes more flexible with the practice of meditation. And so sitting in quiet contemplation, even if it's for 5 minutes, and meditating on this thing, the feeling of joy. I want you, let's just try now. Like everyone under the sound of my voice, if you can, just close your eyes for a second and imagine, bring into your body the feeling of joy. Bring it into your heart space now. You remember joy? You felt it before. I want you to bring it into your awareness. I want you to remember, and I want you to bring it into your body right now. I want you to notice what color joy is in your mind's eye. And I want you to feel it change your cells in your body. Take a breath here. Let it go. I want you to notice how powerful you are. That whatever thought you think, you can bring it right into your body. And take another breath here. And feel joy. I just want you to sit with it. Notice it. Where do you feel it in your body? It's a smile on your face. When you're ready, bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes.
That was good. That was great.
So this is an example of how powerful the mind is, that you can tell it exactly what to do. Joy now. Feel it in my body. Remember. It's how powerful the mind is. And so what are you telling the mind? What are you telling it now? What are you bringing into your body? What are you bringing into your experience? I just wanted you to experience how powerful you are. Your word, your thought, it manifests. And there's nothing you can do about it because that's the way we're made.
So we can connect the breathing technique with the positive thinking, with whatever emotion we are feeling, and we can tell our bodies to feel something different.
Yes.
You see how powerful
cue.
this is? And imagine this was what, 30 seconds?
Yes.
Imagine 5 minutes of that, what it does. So I'm really, really interested in doing those exercises. And to every viewer here, practice it. And I'm going to keep saying this. It may seem silly, but it's very powerful. So put yourself in a room, be quiet, be present, and get to work. This was such a powerful conversation, as per usual. Now, I'm thinking our next session is live, learn, and practice. Yes. So we're putting everything together. You're not going to want to miss this one. So let's talk about the key takeaways of this particular session. Life is happening for me, not to me or against me. There are lessons in all of our experiences, good or bad. So we must love all of our life. And lastly, you have the power to change your life with something as simple as practicing mindfulness with positive thinking and breath work. If you enjoyed today's session, I want you to share with someone. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you share this with your friends and tell us in the comments, how are you this week? Let me know. Don't forget that we have our next mobility series, which I want you to practice 2 to 3 times this week. Again, this is a tool that you have accessible to you. I want to see how the community is integrating everything that we're talking about here. So I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Do not miss out the next and last episode where we're going to learn how to live, learn, and practice. Live, learn, and practice.
Yes.
Yes.